So today we're going to look at Chapter 1.4, Geometric Series, Outcome R10, and the difference between a geometric series from last day's lesson is that a series is where you add up the terms from a sequence that you have. So let's say we are looking at this sequence, and it's going to be called a series because we are adding up the terms together. Okay. Oh. All right. Now, so we've got 1 plus 3 plus 9 plus 27 plus 81 all the way up to 177,147. Okay. So the sum of these terms is going to be, well, we add the first term and then the second term and the third term, and we add it all the way up to the last term that we have. Okay, and if you recall from yesterday, this was our general term, right? So we actually have two formulas that'll sum up a geometric series for us. So the first one is T1 bracket r to the power of n minus 1, all divided by r minus 1. Now there's a condition that we have to put on here, and that condition is that r can never equal 1. Now why is that condition necessary to state? Well, because you can never divide by a 0, and if r was equal to 1, then you would end up with a 0 right there. Okay, so that's important to note. Now, when can we actually use this formula? We're actually going to use this one when you know T1, R, and N. Okay? So, oops. I didn't mean to do that. This is the first time I'm using this, so bear with me. Okay. All right. Okay, that's the laser pointer. Isn't that fun? Okay. All right. Now, our second formula, actually, let's just get a new slide because I can't figure that other feature out. My second formula is Sn, and it's R times Tn minus T1, all divided by R minus 1. And the same condition has to be on here where R can never equal 1 because of the let's use this, r minus 1. Okay, this formula is going to be used when you know, oh, I guess I should use a pen, when you know T1, Tn, and R. So can you remember what the difference was between this formula and the one we just saw? That's right. This formula, we need the last term, and if we don't know the last term, we have to use the first formula that we saw. Okay, so let's look at an example. Well, let's look at the above example here, the 1 plus 3 plus 9 plus 27 plus 81, and let's actually figure out what the sum of all those terms are. So we had, for the above example, T1 was 1, R was 3, and Tn was 177,147. But the problem is here we don't know what N is. All right. So what are we going to do about that? Do we need to know what N is? No. because we don't need to know what n is for this formula here. So Sn equals R T sub n minus T1 over R minus 1. Okay, so plug in what you know. We've got R equals 3, so 3 times 177,147 bracket minus T1 is 1, all divided by R minus 1. And R is 3 minus 1, and that, okay, and this equals 265,720. Very exciting. Okay, so let's look at the next example. Okay, I'm trying to get another slide here. It's not working. All right, let's see if I can, All right, so let's look at this example here. So find the sum of the first 8 terms of 5 plus 15 plus 45 plus ... and I'm not going to tell you where it ends. And I said find the sum of the first 8 terms. Okay, so we know that this T1 equals 5. We know R equals 3 and N equals 8. So what is the last term? I don't know. Can you figure it out? Well, do we need to figure it out? You don't necessarily need to figure it out if we use this formula right here. So here it is again. So this is the first formula that I showed you, right? Okay, so we have all of those pieces here. I've got my T1 right there. I've got my 3, which is my R, and I've got my N, which is 8. Okay, so let's plug everything in. So the sum of the 8 first terms are 5 bracket, and now make sure you've got your 3 to the power of 8 minus 1 in a bracket. Figure that out first, and then multiply it by the 5, right? And you should get that the sum of the first 8 terms equals 16,400. Very exciting. Okay, so now we can look at a question where we have, now so far we've been having whole numbers, right? Now let's look at 1 over 64 plus 1 over 16 plus ... all the way up to 1,024. So what do you notice is happening to the numbers? Well, the numbers are going up as we go along, and we have T1 as 1 over 64. We've got our last term, which is 1024. I don't know what N is. Okay. Can I figure out what R is? Okay, so remember how to figure out what R is? R is Tn divided by Tn minus 1. So you take two terms next to each other, right? So take this guy divided by this guy, and you should get R. Or you take this guy and divide it by this guy, and you get R. So if we do that properly, and we should get 4. So you actually see what's happening here. This, you multiply that by 4 and you get this. Multiply it by 4, you get this. So every next term is 4 times bigger than the one before. Okay, so let's use this formula here. Sn equals R times T sub n minus T1 over R minus 1. And plug everything in, and we get 1 over 64, 4 minus 1, and that equals, if we leave it as a fraction on the top, and you always want to reduce your fraction and just leave it here. You don't need to put it into decimal form, because why bother? This is perfectly fine. Just make sure you reduce your fraction nicely. If you love decimals and just can't live without them, here is what it actually works out to. Okay. All right, good. Okay. So the last example for today, and bearing with me with my childish handwriting, well, because it's actually my finger writing on an iPad. This is the last example that we're going to do today. Minus 2 plus 4 minus 8 plus 16 minus 32 plus ... minus 8,192. Okay, this one's a little different because we notice that the signs here are alternating, right? So what do you think is happening when we go from one term to the next? Well, this is all because of our value of R, right? So we don't know how many terms there are. So n, I have no idea. T1 is -2. R is, so let's say it's 4 divided by -2 or -8 divided by 4. And in each case of those, we get R being -2. Okay, so in this question, we do know the last term. So this is Tn, and that's -8,192. Okay, so which formula are we going to use? We're going to use the formula with our T1 and our Tn. So R times Tn minus T1 over R minus 1. Okay, so let's plug in what we know. -2 times -8192 minus bracket -2, and just be careful with all your brackets and your substitutions, and things should go smoothly. So that gives us Sn equals -5,462. And we're done. So the homework assignment for today is page 53, numbers 1 to 4, numbers 5, 6, 8, 10, 11, and 13, 15 to 19. All right, so I hope this was okay. I'm going to post this up so that you guys can review and watch any parts that you need to. All right, see you later. Bye.